Hello Pisces, and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements, looking at your recent past, your current energy, and your immediate future, answering the question, what do you need to know right now in order to move forward in alignment with your higher self? Friendly reminder that these are general readings and they are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and to leave what does not. Last thing is that any information on the extended reading, booking a personal reading or coaching session with me, or on my upcoming workshop is in the description box below. And there will be more on that workshop at the end of this reading. But let's go ahead and jump in. We're going to start with looking at overall energy through Oracle cards first, and then we'll dive deeper into the story with Tarot as we progress. So let's start, Pisces, with looking at your recent past. What has Pisces been dealing with in their recent past? If you are good enough here. Before I pulled that card, I started just in general sensing a lot of doubt. So if you are good enough, communication is key, and a personal issue reaches resolution. I feel like in some way you've been put in certain situations where you've been forced to shrink yourself, almost like forced to not just accept less than what you deserve, but also like hold back in some way, hold back your light, hold back, your truth. And I feel like this is about breaking out of, like, I kind of see you in like a box in some way and like fighting to break out of that box. And I don't necessarily know how this applies to this reading as a whole. I feel like we'll get more information as we progress, but I feel like there's been a lot of doubt regarding your worth and your deservingness and your capabilities. And I feel like it's not necessarily, well, it's definitely not that you're not enough. You are good enough. Like, I feel like you are more, capable than you realize and deserving than you might even know. But it feels like you've been taught in some way to like shrink yourself. And because of that, the success that you're looking for hasn't been found. But it's not because you aren't capable, but because, like, I don't know, there's a need to go about it in a different way. So I feel like we have a lot to unpack there, because I feel like you felt like really trapped, almost like trapped in a certain reality or certain circumstances. And it's not, and these circumstances, yeah, they have you doubting yourself, but I don't know. I'm going to just keep going. Okay, current energy for Pisces. The answers you need are coming. Balance, spirituality, and practicality, with hold your vision on the bottom. I feel like you want to break out of this box. That's the best word I have for it right now, until we kind of uncover a little bit more about the specifics. But I feel like you're trying to break out of this box, but maybe you don't really know how. And it's like maybe you feel, in some way, I feel like the reason you feel trapped is there's this obligation. Well, I need this. If the box is a job, I need this job to pay the bills. Or if the box is a relationship, like, I need this relationship in order to not be alone. And it feels like there's something very unfulfilling about this box that you're in, this space that you're in. But I also feel at a certain time, in a certain way, you almost feel like there's no other option or like path or choice, maybe even. But there is. And I feel like that's what this is about. So I don't know what like this is necessarily talking about, but I do feel like it's I feel like we're setting up for a very empowering reading here. Like taking control of your life back in some way. What does Pisces need to know moving forward? take you one out of the box, but there's a lot of fear surrounding that in some way. All right, what does Pisces need to know moving forward? Surrender to the divine. It's time to release negativity. Conclusions are within reach. And then underneath that, confidence is your key to success. So I feel like there's something holding you back here. This box, I mean, it comes back to the box that I keep getting this image of. And it's like you have so much potential awaiting you, so much possibility for happiness and fulfillment, but it feels like you're trying to find what's meant for you within this box that you're in, but it can't be found there. So breaking out of that is necessary to receive these things. And it's almost as if things are being like set in stone, or set into place, like stones being placed for you to find your way and navigate yourself out of whatever this is that you feel stuck in to some sort of unlimited potential. Like this feels very freeing, liberating. Yeah, that's the best word I have for it. But I feel like right now you might just be feeling a little bit lost, especially if you've been stuck in this place, this situation for a while. You might be looking around and you're like, well, I don't see how things can get better. I don't see how I can get to where I want to go. Like it doesn't happen for me in some way, and like almost writing off your potential. And I feel like the universe is trying to draw you back to it. I don't know why I shuffled those cards in some way. So I don't know. It's like you've been playing small, but out of necessity almost. So let's keep going. Overall theme of this reading for Pisces. What does Pisces need to know in order to move forward in alignment with their higher self? Air, knowledge, truth, and courage. To me, this air energy is, sometimes I take the meaning directly. Right now, I really feel like this is about how much things feel very up in the air. There's a lot of unknowns, a lot of unpredictability on the other side of, because it feels like you've been stuck in like this box that provides you with stability, but it's not fulfilling. And sometimes we think, oh, because things are predictable and they're stable, that means that this is like I should be happy or whatever. And sometimes that need for familiarity can actually hold us back from the potential. And I feel like it feels like certain things are being brought to your awareness, certain truths or knowledge, that it's like you're seeing things more clearly than you ever really have before. And that I feel like is why there's like this contemplation of like, well, because before I feel like you never would have even second guessed this box. Like I feel like, especially if it's like all you've ever known, or you've been in it for a while, so it feels like you're starting to receive maybe downloads from the universe or signs or something that it's time to like move forward. But there's a lot of fear in association with that, because the unknown, right? Things being up in the air, the unknown is really scary. Unpredictability is really scary. And I feel like you're being asked to tap into that courage. I mean, you have courage here. You had that confidence is your key to success card. So it kind of feels like you're being asked to redirect or reroute almost your path away from something and towards something better. But whatever you're moving away from, I feel like it's hard because there's an attachment to it when it comes to like stability and predictability. And I think that that's the hardest thing for sure. So I don't know. But I do feel like Spirit has been trying to move you in this new direction for a while, because that's what it feels like a new direction, but like a very exciting and like one with a lot of potential. Okay. Communication is key. You are good enough. What does Pisces need to know about this recent past energy? Because again, it's like maybe you haven't even realized that you've been shrinking yourself in some way, or making yourself small, or holding back. But it's almost like you're becoming more aware of it, more aware of your power, more aware of maybe even like independence is a word that comes to mind. Autonomy maybe even too, where it's like you don't need something as much as you once thought. So maybe, other opportunities and ideas are starting to flow. I don't necessarily know. Okay, recent past for Pisces. 6 of Pentacles in reverse. I mean, this literally is the message of giving a lot more than you're receiving, or like not receiving nearly what it is that you deserve. And I think that it's interesting because I almost feel like you didn't think that you were receiving less, but now you're becoming more aware of the fact that you are. It's almost like, I don't know if like certain things are coming to light or have come to light that have made you go, oh, wait a second, like this isn't what I thought it was. There's the 5 of Wands. There's a lot of resistance regarding making some sort of move, some sort of change, some sort of decision here because of the potential instability. Yeah. 4 of Wands in reverse. And that makes a lot of sense. I mean, one of the biggest reasons that most people stay in places that are unfulfilling is because it's scary to think about change, or sometimes we doubt that we're going to ever be able to find anywhere better. So I think that it's interesting because, when we get moved away, or we're being asked to move away from things that don't align with our worth or our value or our values or our truth or whatever the case is, a lot of times it can feel like we're losing opportunities or potential, when in reality, I feel like what is actually happening is you're moving toward more potential. So the second row here, 4 of Cups, 6 of Wands in the Hierophant, I feel like there needs to be a perspective shift on what's happening here, because there's this lack of success, lack of fulfillment, lack of having what you ultimately deserve. And it's almost like you're looking at it from this place of maybe it's not meant for me. Maybe I'm not possible. Maybe it's not possible for me to have that. Maybe I'm not good enough for it. Or I don't know. Like it's like you're doubting yourself because something isn't working out. But something isn't working out not because you don't deserve what you're ultimately looking for, but because the box, the space in which you're trying to find it isn't capable of providing it. So I think that that's the perspective shift that's needed. It's not that you can't have the love, the success, the financial freedom that you desire. It's that you're looking for it in the wrong place, or have been for a really long time. And it kind of goes hand in hand with this, whatever this is. It requires you to play small, to shrink yourself, to doubt yourself, to doubt your worth, to hold back in some way. And the universe will never allow you to settle or to trap yourself in a place that you're not meant to be, especially if it doesn't really align with your authenticity and with like your full potential. So I feel like, you have so much more ahead of you than you even really think that you do. But I also feel like the path that you're on, the process you're going through is absolutely necessary for you to recognize how powerful you really are. I think so much of the time, like for me, I look back at what I like to call my past life. And I think of, all of the situations that didn't work and how hard I was on myself for so long. If I would have done this better, if I was more attractive, or if I was more intelligent, or if I didn't make these mistakes, then maybe things would have worked out. And though there was a lot of room there for me to grow, looking at the spaces in which I was trying to create fulfillment, yet at the same time, these spaces asking me to shrink myself or hold back my truth and my authenticity, like those two things cannot go hand in hand. So spirit will always move you away from what requires you to shrink yourself or to make yourself smaller. And I think that that's what's happening here, not to take away from your potential or take away from what's possible for you, but to add to your life, to create more space to be filled up by things that are going to fulfill you more. So let's see what Pisces needs to know about their current energy here. Because again, you might know this, and maybe this is because with the Hierophant here, this could be something that you're kind of awakening to. Oh, wait, like this doesn't really align with my worth. And maybe it never really has, but like you didn't realize it at the time. I know for me that has happened in relationships before, or I know just other situations in life where you're like, wait a second, I think I deserve more than this, or I think that I'm capable of more than this, or, this job, like, why am I working so hard for a boss that just does not value me? Like, sometimes we have these awakenings where we're like, I don't need to be doing this. Like, I have more, potential than I've realized to this point. And sometimes we have to be in places like that where we're, forced to shrink ourselves to realize that we don't have to shrink ourselves. So it's not that this was a waste of time or that you even made a mistake here. It's part of the path and part of the journey. So let's see what we've got here for you, Pisces. Balance, spirituality, and practicality. The answers you need are coming. I still kind of get this sense that you've been receiving maybe a lot of spiritual downloads, spiritual insight, like having breakthroughs or just like clarity that you've never really had before. Current energy for Pisces, please. Yeah, there's the Two of Wands. Two of Swords, though. See, you're on the fence. You're back and forth. But you know deep down what the right choice is, because I feel like you know what truly aligns with you, but man, there's a lot of anxiety. Nine of Swords, you have this Five of Swords here too, regarding some sort of choice, some sort of decision, and that's normal. So much of the time we look at some sort of choice and some sort of decision, and we think, well, what's going to create the least amount of strife for me in the short term? But that's not the best way to look at our decisions. The best way to look at our decisions is what is going to be the best for the future version of me. Sure, I might have to face some short-term discomfort, some short-term, unknowns, but what is going to allow me the most possibility? And I think that so much of the time we avoid short-term discomfort, which actually creates more long-term discomfort. And I think that maybe has been happening for you here. It's like, staying in this place because it's easier, or because it's, like I said, familiar, but it isn't right for you, or like it doesn't fully align with you. And I feel like I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I feel like you know that. You wish that wasn't the case maybe, but I feel like you know that, but you're afraid to make some sort of decision, to make a change, to move away from something, to start something. And that, again, very natural, very normal, very human of you. So there's no need to add shame or blame to the situation. But awareness is always necessary, right? It's very important to look at, so much of the time we have to separate what does my ego want versus what is my soul really calling me toward. And I feel like your soul is calling you toward more love, more abundance, more potential. But I feel like your ego is drawing you toward the familiar, which your ego loves that. It loves the predictability. It loves knowing that it is in control. It loves survive. It loves what it knows it can survive. So if you've survived in a certain place for long enough, even if it isn't fulfilling or doesn't make you happy or isn't really what's meant for you, your ego is going to want to stay there. Your ego is going to want to continue to repeat the same cycles with the same people, stay in the same places. Your ego hates change, but your soul is craving it, not because it wants to put you through uncomfortable situations, but because it's trying to lead you toward more. And I think that that's the hardest part here, is that's what you're needing to recognize. Now, especially if you're feeling trapped and you just you're like, I really want out, but I don't have a way. I don't feel like I really want a new job, but like I cannot find one, or I really don't know what to. I feel like the answers are going to come. Keeping your intention on being willing to make a change, I think, is really important, and you're going to start to see certain pieces fall into place. That's what this feels like. But you have to be open to it. So opening your mind, opening your heart, communicating with spirit, making sure that you are standing in your truth, setting boundaries, trusting the process here. Because especially with the Five of Swords and the Seven of Wands, the Seven of Wands is really difficult when you're in Five of Swords energy, because Five of Swords energy is very much like mistrust, or you know, feeling very defensive, you against the world mentality, which comes when you've been in survival mode for a while. So it's hard to set your boundaries and stand up for, you know, what's possible for you when you've been surviving for so long, you know, just trying to keep your head above water. But I feel like you're tapping more and more into your power. And I think that you're going to see, because that's what people don't realize. We talk about stepping into our power, right? We talk about it a lot in the spiritual community. It's not something where it's just you wake up one day and you're like, oh, I feel powerful and confident and capable of all the things that I want. It's a lot of small steps. It's a lot of showing up as much as you can in the little moments, and eventually it becomes a lot easier and you start to see that payoff. So if you're struggling here, if you're trying to stand your ground, if you're trying to step into your power and you just feel like you're still being held back, or you know, you're still struggling, like that's part of the journey. You're still in the middle of the journey, but I do feel like you're moving towards some really cool things. So what does Pisces need to know moving forward? It feels like you're moving further into alignment, but sometimes when you've been misaligned, or when some things are misaligned with you, it can be really painful. It can feel a lot like loss and destruction, but it's a lot of times, you know, what we have to understand. I saw something, it was like, when you pray for flowers, don't be surprised when it starts to rain. Like, when you ask for more love and more abundance in your life, don't be surprised when things start to disappear, when you start to lose people, when friends, friends that aren't really your friends start to reveal themselves. Like, these things start to happen whenever your life is falling into place. And a lot of times it can feel like it's falling apart, or it can feel really scary because it feels like things are changing, but they're changing for the better. It just doesn't feel like it in the moment. What does Pisces need to know moving forward? A lot reveals itself whenever literally, Three of Pentacles, pieces falling into place. That's what to me, this Three of Pentacles is like domino effect. It's like everything just like, it's very aesthetically pleasing because it happens. And look at you, Queen of Cups here on the bottom, whether you're male or female. So I feel like you can expect the pieces to fall into place as long as you keep showing up for that. It's not easy, and I'm not saying it's easy. Trust me, I know it's not, but I feel like it's almost like you're rediscovering new truths for yourself. It's almost like you're recognizing your power, you're remembering who you are, and it's really quite a beautiful thing here, Pisces, especially if you've been pushed to shrink yourself for so long. Yeah, Page of Swords with this Page of Cups, it almost feels like coming out of your like shell again. It's like blooming. And a lot of that can happen through like getting, and this I feel like is important with these two cards specifically, but getting back in touch with like your inner child joy. Life has a way of really knocking us down, right? When we're young, when we're kids, depending on your situation, for a lot of us, things are magical and exciting and miracles and princesses and just all the things. It's so exciting and it's so amazing, and you can be anything you want. You ask a little kid what they want to be when they grow up and you get the craziest answers, and it's like, heck yeah, like go after your dreams. But then as you grow up, you start to get told, well, you can do those things, or you can be whoever you want as long as it looks like this, as long as you have this checklist and you fit in this box and things are exactly, how they're supposed to be. But a lot of times finding our true path is about getting back in touch with the part of us that starts to believe that anything is possible. And I feel like that has a lot to do with healing. The more that we heal, the more that we get back in touch with that part of ourselves that believes in miracles and believes in magic and trusts that things can work out for us. And so this feels like you've been either on some sort of a healing journey, or you're starting one, or something like that. And it's tough. It is, but it's so freaking worth it in the end. And I think that as you are stepping out here into, coming out of your shell, or like I have the first lines of Mr. Brightside by The Killer stuck in my head. Coming out of my cage and I've been doing just fine. Like, I feel like it's like you've been stuck in this box and you're stepping out into some freedom here. I want to get one more message for this future energy for Pisces. So, trust the journey. I think that's the biggest message here. Trust the journey, trust the process. The right answers are going to come at the right time. right now is a time to really allow yourself, literally, Knight of Cups, the bringer of messages, and then you have the Star here. I feel it, which to me is like the star, like think the North Star, like lights the way, right? Like it's like you'll find your way. Just keep, like, sometimes being lost is part of the journey. Like, not all who wander are lost, right? Sometimes being lost and confused and stuck is part of the journey, and not because you deserve it, but because finding your way is about learning how to show up differently. And sometimes we have to learn how to show up differently throughout the journey, right? We look back at our what used to work in the past, and we're like, well, this isn't working for me anymore. But then you like have this, you're on this journey of becoming, right? Because then you're like, well, that's not really what I want, but I don't really know what I want, because that's what I thought I wanted. That didn't really work out, so I don't really know where I'm going from here. That part is actually where the magic happens, because that's where you start to look at, who you really are and what you're really here to do. And I don't know, honestly, Pisces, this feels like a really beautiful reading, and I think that you can relax a little bit. Now, I know, trust me, take it from somebody who struggles with anxiety, getting told to relax doesn't always help that much, but I do definitely feel like Spirit is like, you can breathe a little bit, breathe into this journey, trust the process, and things are going to work out for you in the end here, as long as you keep showing up for yourself. So I'm going to hop on over to the extended in a second. We're going to dive deeper into this messages, looking at what you need to do right now in order to move forward in alignment with your higher self. But first, I want to talk about this workshop that I have coming up on April 25th. So it's a little less than 2 weeks away. It's going to be about the secret of manifesting, which is going to kind of break down what manifesting really is and how to tangibly create the life of your dreams. The vision boards are wonderful. The positive thinking is wonderful. All the tools, right? The gratitude, all of these things are important, but there is one little secret to manifesting that isn't talked about as much, and that is embodiment. So this is really breaking down the psychology behind manifesting and how to truly, truly embody who it is you wish to become to create the life that you wish to create. I'm so excited about this one. I've poured so much into this one, and I'm intentionally keeping it small because I want there to be open discussion. Obviously, if you want to attend live, but you don't wish to have your camera on or your mic on, that is not required. But if you can't make it live, there is going to be a recording sent out the next day. So like I said, Friday, April 25th at 6 p.m. Central Time. Any information for this is at the very top of the description box below. If you have any questions about this event, feel free to drop a comment or shoot me an email, and I'd be happy to answer those for you. But like I said, I'm super excited about this one, and I hope to see you all there. As always, Pisces, thank you so much for your support of my channel. I do obviously hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing and all of the wonderful things that you deserve and desire on your journey moving forward. Bye, Pisces.